Good evening, it's Joyful Christian Hermit. Puppies and I have been, Lovey just loves looking out the window, and so does Mercy, but she likes putting her feet up here on this console and watching me drive and stuff. But we're heading back from Home Depot. I've been working on the house today, Solus Deus Hermitage, and my brad nailer didn't work. It did not work. I took it over to this neighbor, Brian, because in taking it apart, one part of the spring flew out, so he's really good with stuff. So he helped get that fixed, but it's got an air leak, and to try to find that air leak, good luck to me. This is the second brad nailer, DeWalt brand, good brand, and so I'm trying another one, and it's not as nice as the one I had, but it's their cheapest version. It was on sale, 99 bucks, and I had a coupon if you spend 100, and I had to get some more shop back bags, and I got some trim to try between my kitchen windows, a little different fluted trim. I didn't quite run anything that fancy, so I'll see if I like it. If not, I'll try to run some wood through the table saw to make it narrower. I wanted something that would sort of, dovetail out a little bit, or slope out on each side. So I may have to go to Lowe's to see what they have in their specialty trims. But I'm trying to do a really nice job on this, because initially with this house, I started it to do for Jesus, and I'd been praying and asked Jesus to go ahead and find the next owner for it, and I would do a really good job, and I think it's going to be my daughter. But she called today to check in on me. She does. It's very nice. And I sort of laugh. It's good to have something that someone wants when you're old, because she would be nice regardless. But we did have our time periods. But she really wants a home, wants a house, and she's not going to be able to get one because of the interest rates being high. So, and everything's just gone up so much here. So I'm willing to take a loss, or lower price when I'm dead. And so I'm very pretty much settled that I want to go to her townhome and get out from under. I'm very tired. I am desperate to spend what time I have left writing deeper into my reading, what I can remember of it. I can take notes and things. I have these marvelous books, and I want to share things with you besides going through the process of end-of-life issues, and process of dealing with family, the process of letting go, changing plans, and going somewhere that wouldn't be where I would have chosen to go. So it's good for me to see how I'm not as detached as I had hoped I was as a hermit, and that I had totally forgotten the line in my vow of suffering that says if I have to make a decision, two paths, that I would always choose the path of greater suffering. Well, that will be the tile floors. So, but I've already seen at Home Depot some LVP, luxury vinyl plank, that's very plain, that I could put in the 3 bedrooms, unless she's willing to put in some Berber type carpet. But I'm even hesitant about anything like that in case the dogs would have an accident. It would have to be light carpet. I have Berber upstairs in 3 rooms, but it was existing and it was in very good condition. The people who owned this house before me, who built it, were elderly. They were my age. They were 70 and 72 when they moved in, and I was 67, not quite 68. So, and they left it when they were 90 and 92. But I never saw that I was going to stay there after I finished it, and I had lost impetus to finishing it. I've had so many surgeries and then so many illnesses. I'm starting to come down with something now. I should have been wearing a mask everywhere I went, but picking up something from someone, maybe it was, well, I guess it would have been a couple of days ago, to think back where I think I went to get a watermelon. Maybe I got it from being in Buco, the grocery store. Then I'm getting a sore throat, and we'll see. I don't know. With septic shock for the first year, it says you'll catch anything you're exposed to. And when I get sick, I get really, really sick. So I don't know. If I get really, really sick, I'll take it as a final sign that God wants me just to trade and let my daughter hire people to finish it. But it's a shame. Well, maybe we won't do that. Wait till I get better, I guess. But if I get better. But it's always an if. When you're old and you have septic shock, you can easily end up back in the hospital with another infection. So I'm not thinking that way, but we'll see. I'll start. I always drink hot ginger water at night. I used to use lemon and stuff, but I guess I could do that. I'll take extra vitamin C, do what I can. But so I'm getting this new brad nailer. It's not as nice as the ones I've had. They're least expensive, but it's least expensive now. They've cheapened it a lot. But at least I have my rubber cap from the other one that might fit on this, because I don't like to have the metal up against the wood. You can gouge your wood with this tip that this one has. So, but working on it, trying to get I have to get the trim around the kitchen windows before I can continue the tiling there under the kitchen windows. And then I will get the faucet in, and the kitchen sink will be in working condition. And I'm thinking of, depending on I'm thinking of hiring Thomas to come just to, we had a good system when we were doing the LVP flooring. I would do all the cuts and hand him the wood and cut it. I would cut it, and then the LVP, not the wood. And then we would get the flooring done really quickly. So I'll see what I do with that. But I enjoyed seeing some of Carol, a viewer, one of our viewers for the video. She's an artist, a fine artist. So I saw some of her artwork on Facebook, so that was fun to see when I took a back break today, pain break. Oh, we'll see what materializes, but I think I'm ready to move on to spiritual life. I want to share with you about Saint Cajetan, if that's how you pronounce it, or Cajetan. I think it's pronounced Cajetan, Cajetan. His feast day was yesterday, and I'm so impressed with his sensitivity to God from a young age. I'm having not only survivor regrets, but some regrets about my life, that I even trying to get money for nursing home. You know, I'm always torn trying to get income for taking care of myself so that I'm not a burden to other people. And there's so many other things I would have rather have done, in other words, than working on a house. I've done 3 houses now. I think it's been 3, maybe more. The island, in the house back in the Midwest, the new house, I laid tile floors in the bathrooms, and I also put down a floating wood floor. It was before they had LVP. This was back in 2006, and I moved in 2007. But I painted the whole interior to save myself about $1,700. Took me 7 weeks to paint. I had to prime everything, and I did 2 coats, Sherwin-Williams. I did all the trim, so it was a lot more work. But I got to have different colors and choose my own paint, quality of paint. So when you buy a home that a builder's done, you generally end up they just go in with a team and spray it all one color. So I had fun with that. It was sort of a cottage type effect, sort of frivolous, lighthearted. Every room had a different tone of paint, all very light, but it was fun to have sort of a cottage effect. And that didn't make much money. The old house that my realtor had done me in, she didn't check mark the part that if the inspector found lots of stuff, you could get out of the sale. So I was stuck with a bad house, and I didn't make much on it. A lot of work I put into it, but it was old. It was a 1918 craftsman style on a brick street in my hometown. It was fun to do it. I had gotten some old wood from the house that I was in for 6 months that was being torn down. So I took up a lot of oak floor from the late 1800s, the house was. And so I refinished that oak and put it down in the other house, the house that needed so much work on it, the 1918 house. And I did inlay flooring. So that was fun. I made a huge triangle for the Trinity in one room. And that's the house that I painted up near the ceiling line and above the doors on the real wide woodwork, the old woodwork, all wood. It was nice. And I would print the name of the room or different sayings. I used watercolor and painted at the landing of the stairs where you turn to go out into the living room, the Jesus prayer, and I scripted around the ceiling of what I used as my chapel room. Had a lot of windows in it, and that's what I did the inlay with the triangle for the Trinity. And I inlaid across on the landing going up to the attic. I finished off an attic room, and I would have, if I'd stayed there, finished off the other side of the attic room. A huge room on the other side. So the top room was a day bed up there for a guest, and in the attic, and then TV was up there. It was fun. So yeah, I enjoyed doing inlaid wood, and I enjoyed scripting. So I scripted the memorare around the ceiling line up on the wall, but just below the ceiling in the chapel room. That looked really nice, and I painted it like an earthen vessel color, sort of a clay color, and then I had white woodwork and then the white printing on that. Did a lot of wallpaper. Wallpaper was still popular then. I wallpapered the stairwell with butterflies, small. It was very subtle, but the colors went with the paint in the living room, which was a very pale golden yellow, very, very light. You could just a hue of that. So the butterflies for the stairway to heaven, I like that because the butterfly has such a good imagery of metamorphosis, of which dying is. It's just a metamorphosis, a transfer, a transition, and into a transformation, into being a new being. And my neighbor, who is Mormon, looks forward because they have different beliefs about the next world, the other side, heaven, and believe that they will have their human bodies, but young and perfect and beautiful. And she can't wait for that. She'll be perfect. I don't want a body. And when I died, it was no body. I had no body, and it was so easy. You just would move at such a high speed, probably faster than light, probably at the speed of thought or something. And you'd think thought flashed, speaking and thought flashing. So you just really communicate without time passing. It's just back and forth, just split thought flashing. So I spoke with God in that way, and all your inner senses go with you. You breathe, but with your inner breath, and the air is very crisp, very clear, very cool, and pure. Everything's very pure. So who'd want a body when you could, move about and have your being? It's having your soul that counts, and your memory, understanding, ability to communicate, your will, your ability to see images and have images and imagination. So everything's with us except for our outer senses and our bodies. And sin. It's just wonderful being in heaven. But and I was just like in an anteroom. I was with God before I didn't go further into heaven itself. He was talking to me, determining whether I was going to go on with him or be sent back. And he chose to send me back. But he asked me, and it was so wonderful, I still couldn't say I would go back, even after he showed me my beautiful little children and showed me my ex-husband having a temper. I knew he would not be good for the children. And so, but it's just so wonderful there with God and not being in our bodies that, and everything goes with us otherwise, that I did say then, well, I would do whatever you want me to do, Lord. And so he says, I'm sending you back, rear your children and fulfill your mission. So I don't think my mission is making my body more damaged now. At this point, I have to be very careful. I can't be lifting and doing much of that nature, and standing long is too hard on me. So getting down on my ruined knee from the knee replacement that failed, that's very difficult. So it's to prepare my soul and to continue sharing my life, sharing the spiritual life, and talking about God and anything that God relays, and attitude and all of this, and going through and making decisions like this transition that I'm in. It's taken me longer than I thought. I've been talking a lot about it in these videos, trying to adapt, and suddenly, I realized what is it I want more than anything else. It took Romans 12:2. I think that's it. It's either 12:2 or 2:12. But do not put your store in temporal things. Look beyond. Look to God. Look, desire things above. And I realize that has been my dilemma, and why I basically stopped working so much on the house. Of course I was very sick, but last winter, but I got into gardening, which is joyous and closer to God, I think, than working on a house trying to get nursing home money. But it was sort of humorous. My daughter would say, well, why do you, why do you worried about nursing home money? How do you even know you're going to be in a nursing home? I said, well, I don't. But she didn't realize the cost of them. And I said, would you pay for me if I just don't do anything and don't have any money? And I told her how much my aunt pays in our hometown, little Midwest small hometown, $11,000 a month for her health care room. She's 102. There's nothing really wrong with her other than she's very tired. She has swallowing problems, but she just takes small bites. And she still eats in the dining room, wheelchair down to the dining room, and so she could live to be 108. Who knows? We know someone in the town who's lived to be 110. Oh, she's still alive, a woman's mother. So my aunt is very well off, but I can't get Medicare because I didn't pay into Social Security. I had California State Teachers Retirement Fund, and that's where my disability's from in my retirement. And with Medicaid, you have to get rid of everything, including your retirement. So then I wouldn't have any income anymore. And I have to pay taxes still. So I can't do Medicaid to get out of paying. And they watch too. If you have any assets, but they can't take your home. So, we could try again to get Medicaid. It'd probably be worth it. And I don't know I'll be in a nursing home. But with arachnoiditis, you don't die from that. So usually you end up paralyzed if you don't keep very, very active. And even so, I'm having my intestines aren't working right. So already I have stuff happening that arachnoiditis does. So, well, we're here. Here it is. There's Padre Pio over there. Right there he is. I like Padre Pio a lot. So, and Virgin Mary's statue and Jesus is in back. God bless his real presence in us. Have a beautiful evening. So, yes, even hermits have to figure out, our end-of-life situation and make sure we have enough money to take care of ourselves. It's not right to expect other people to. I think that's another thing that's not right about the diocese hermits. I know of one who he lets people build his hermitage and bought him land, and I just don't think that's right. I think it's too much connected with a diocese, and we're to be, like I say, that cloud between earth and heaven. Reminders. So talk to you later. I want to tell you about Cajetan or Cajetan. I'll have to look up the pronunciation of his name, that saint. And there's another one that I had that I wanted, and also a sermon that I think is beautiful. So more to come.